All right, all right. We're here for episode number 86 of CoCreative NoCode's office hours. If this is your first time joining us, either from our group on Facebook, you can join the bubble.io CoCreative NoCode Facebook group, or if you're catching us replaying on YouTube, or maybe you saw us on Twitter. We run office hours every day of the week, Monday through Friday, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And what we do is we invite all of our members of CoCreativeNoCode.com to come in and ask any of their bubble questions they might have. So they can bring us bubble bugs to bust. They can bring us let's see, any feature requests that they have. We'll do build alongs, whatever bubble topic is burning in your mind, we can tackle it here. And if you would like to join us for a complimentary session, you can go ahead and click on the live and comment, and Kim will send you a link to the Zoom session. Or if you want to email us at team@CoCreativeNoCode.com, we'd be happy to get back to you with the link so you can come in and see what it's all about. We have 3 members on the line with us this morning. Jay is here, Thomas and Calum. Welcome to all of you. How's it going? How was your weekend?
Good.
Awesome. Hey, Thomas.
Hola. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hey, Calum, what's up?
All right, how you doing?
Doing okay. Just getting started here. All right. So Jay has some things for us. Thomas, did you have anything?
Yeah, I do. I'll show you after Jay.
Okay.
My stuff is like not important. I'd rather go later.
Okay. And Calum, did you have anything?
Yeah, I'd rather Jay went first.
Okay, so everybody wants Jay to go first.
Okay.
The vote is in, Jay. It's your shot. Shoot your shot.
Okay, let me figure out where I put that thing. I'm waiting right now. What's going on is my VA is doing the web scraping, so I'm just kind of like adding features and connecting stuff. So I've got data flying in every direction right now, and it's gotten a little confusing.
Okay.
So I guess I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
I don't know if it's worth, let me show you my screen. This is going to be a mess. So don't freak out. Let's see, where am I? Wrong screen.
I won't freak out, I promise.
Yeah, that's what you say now. Okay, so I've got all these. This is a question about just a kind of a big picture question about data.
Okay, I just see your audio settings.
You see my, oh, geez. I added a screen. I've got 3 monitors now, and I don't know how to use them, obviously. Now I can't find Zoom. Where did it go? Hold on, I got to find you. There you are.
I technically have 3 screens, but I only use 2 of them.
I don't know if I need the 3rd, but I thought, I have it. Let me set it up and see. And so far it's a pain in the neck, but like right now I can't seem to expand Zoom. So I can change can you kick me out of share screen?
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Okay.
I stopped your sharing.
Great. Okay. Okay, not that. Okay. I'm thinking about putting one in portrait mode to see if that makes work more productive for Bubble, but I'm not going to worry about it yet. You guys can see the right screen now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a place where you can just kind of keep track of your trees and shrubs. And the only thing you can really do here is see a list, edit the thing, or see where it is. So which bed it's in. So if you click on that, it shows you what bed and how many. And then there's notes. I don't think I did that yet. Yeah, they're supposed to show there, but they don't. Okay, so there's that. Then there's this. What I'm trying to get to is like in that previous pop-up or in that screen, you saw that like you've got hydrangeas in bed A, there's 2 of them, and you've got 1 hydrangea in bed B. So I want to be able to have notes about each one because you don't treat them all the same.
Okay.
So now it's getting kind of complicated. So I've also got, this is kind of the place to sort, the central place to kind of control that from, because this is the bed section.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting here.
So are you asking about adding notes?
Well, I've got the
Yeah.
notes section. It's not all working, but it mostly is. So here you can add a plant. This shows you your existing list. And when you click, it adds it down here. Not everything's displaying correctly yet, but it's getting there. So here's the, yeah, I guess it's about notes. What I ended up having to do, I've got all these data types. This is like your bed. This is your bed. It's the name and all that and the notes. And there's a list of plants. But the problem with that was I couldn't get to the individual plant. So I made this data type, which is just the bed name, notes, the one plant, and how many of that type of plant.
Okay.
Does this make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. So this was an adequate way to go about this.
Yeah, so your bed builder is sort of, show me that content type again, or that data type again. Okay, so bed plants is a list of my plants. I'm trying to understand the relationship of the bed plants to the bed contents.
So let's say you have a bed like on the front of your house. It's your front bed. And in that bed, you may have 5 or 10 or 20 kinds of plants, and they're all
Mhm.
listed here. So that when you go look at information about the bed, you get the big picture. Here's what's in it. And then later there'll be other information like where, and but I'm going to move that. That doesn't belong there. But then when I want to talk about each plant, or when people want to see information about each plant, like I've got 3 hydrangeas in 2 different beds in the back. One of them needs to be pruned, but one of them needs to be fertilized. I'd like to be able to keep track of that. So I made this to keep track of individual plants in a bed. So you just, it's all.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that it's
Okay.
probably redundant. It's like the bed contents, the way that you have this is the way that I would do it. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like, I guess do you have maybe a repeating group where you're calling a user's bed builders my plants?
Yes.
Okay, so you're doing that for the ease of displaying, but then how you're going to access any kind of notes information or whatever, like, because the my plants are not connected to the bed contents, which are where the notes are being stored, right? So like, to me, it would make more sense to have the bed contents refer back to a bed. So instead of doing that repeating group where you're showing the current user's bed builders my plants, you would show a do search of the bed contents that belong to that current user's bed.
So this is, so basically, instead of having it be like about the bed, and here's everything about a bed, then there'll be a data, the app data will have like line after, like, let's say I've got 5 plants in a bed. Then
No, I'm just
Yeah.
talking to, yeah, I'm just talking about changing the one thing. Instead of listing my plants, then have like bed contents refer back to the bed builder type. Everything else I think is fine. I'm just saying in terms of like when you're, I don't know how you have it structured to be able to enter a note or refer back to notes, but it seems like the bed plants field in your bed builder is redundant if you're also going to have a bed contents type.
Gotcha. Okay. Down here, it's a separate data type for notes because there's notes about all kinds of stuff.
Right. And that's also how I would keep it. I'm just saying that like in terms of the only thing I see about the structure that might be confusing down the road is bed contents contains one plant, right? So
Yeah.
if you make a list of bed contents, then you're making a list of the my plants. And so you don't need to have that one field. And I would change that repeating group because I'd also probably like have an edit or something on that repeating group that allows you to like do the notes.
Exactly. And there is, it just isn't working. So there should be a field here called bed contents, and it should be a list of bed contents. Is
You
that what
can do
said?
it. You can do it that way, or you can just do it the way that you've already done it, and then just do a search for the bed contents constrained by the bed builder.
Yeah, that's how I've been going about it so far.
Yeah. But either way, I wouldn't have a list of my plants on the bed builder. So
Okay, I gotcha. All right.
Yep.
I need to dig into this because I mean, everywhere throughout the site, you can access a plant list or you can access the bed in different places. And
oh my
and go
God,
to the
I hear
notes.
you.
It's gotten kind of messy.
I'm scoping out something with 3 users all updating and operating around the same 3 different types of users interacting with the same data. And I'm just like, I'm so annoyed with having to like wireframe out each particular user's view because they're very similar. They're just slightly different, but it's like when you're instructing a designer on how to create things, you have to tell them, you have to be very explicit, right? So it's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
I feel your pain.
I can only think about it a little bit at a time, and then I just have to go, I don't know, watch ID channel for an hour.
Yep, exactly.
And then come back and it's like, oh, obvious. But if I think about it too much, it's just like, it's a tangle.
It is.
You know, the only other thing I have is, I don't know if anyone else wants to go, if they're ready, but I still have that drag and drop thing, which I've kind of done a little bit more with. And I think I put it here. Where did I put it? There it is. Where is it? Okay. Oops. I thought this computer would be faster on Zoom when I was sharing screens, but so far it's not. Maybe I'll switch back. So many cables.
Is it a new computer? Or?
No, it's a Lenovo Flex Idea Pad. It's got a lot of storage and it's got a lot of RAM, twice as much as my other computer, which is a ThinkPad. Anyway, is this where I did it? Oh shit, it was working yesterday. What happened? Oh well.
Usually I have the opposite effect on bubble apps.
That they suddenly start working?
Yes, exactly. Calum's nodding his head. Yes, he said the other day, he was like, he pinged me about something on Facebook and then he was like, that's just wonderful. Now I just have to mention your name and it starts working.
Oh, yeah, you don't even have to get Tonya on Zoom anymore. You just say, Tonya, I've got an issue, can you help? And she said, I'll be on in half an hour. And then as soon as she said that, it started working.
Yep. All right, so we're giving up on that for the moment. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
well, if we have time, we can come back to it if you want to fill
Okay.
time. It's not
Sure.
urgent.
Yeah,
I
no
have
worries.
one.
What's up?
So you know the trending system I have, which
Yes.
works perfectly. I've tried to do the same thing with the entertainment videos, but I'm just not getting anything for some reason. So, I mean, I am just very quickly going to check now in case just saying that has now fixed it, but no, it appears it hasn't. I mean, it's worth a try.
Would be very boring if I didn't have to do anything to help you.
It might be boring, but it would. You could definitely sell your
But it'd
time
make
much
you
more
happy.
efficiently. I was saying you could sell your time much more efficiently. We'd have to just mention the problem and it would fix.
Yeah.
Right, streams, and then we've got all of my music and everything on here. Quite a few videos on here now. You know, Dizzy Rascal live at Crystal Palace. Oh, yeah, that was a very fun night. I can't get rid of it now. Oh, balls. Why is that not? Ah, okay, let's refresh that. I don't think, can you, I don't know if you can drag and drop on PC. Oh, well. So the streams live somewhere in this long, long list of elements. Oh, that's why, because I didn't change it to stream, it's still called entertainment. There we go. And then featured. What have I saved it under now? This is annoying. Oh, that was it. Is trend. Okay, cool. Sorry, so it's under search videos. Cool. So yeah, so when it's trending, this element is visible. And then, so I set up these here. So when trending entertainment, which is where's my floating group gone? There we go, my floating bar. And not that one. We want trending posts. Nope, trending entertainment. There we go. So this is the bar that we're talking about. It has the option, same as before, trending today, trending this week, trending this month, and trending this year. Default value is trending today. That is spelled correctly, yep. And this should be doing a search for, so it's still doing search for entertainment. But if you go to the bottom one, where is the bottom one? Trending today, do a search for entertainment where created date is equal to current date and time plus days minus 1. That's right, yeah?
I mean, if you want to find things that are
Created in the last day.
no, not equal, because you won't find anything. Because current date and time plus 1.
Greater than or less than or one
Yeah.
of those weird symbols. I'm gonna have a guess at that one and check that it works. But that's definitely why it was broken.
It's just because Bubble is so literal.
I don't even know how I didn't get it, because I checked against the one where I was doing the feed, which uses exactly the same logic. So I have no idea how I didn't notice that it was different. And if it's trending, there we go, perfect, because that's the only video I uploaded today. And then these should all be empty because I need to change the wardrobe. Awesome, thank you, Tonya.
You're welcome.
You want to hear stupid? I'll tell you stupid. I submitted a bug report because I had some links that wouldn't work no matter what. And it took them forever because they had to escalate. And it turned out that what I had not done was put any workflows on them. There were just no workflows.
Okay, Okay, that is
This,
quite funny.
I think this is probably like lack of caffeine, lack of sleep, or too much alcohol. Like it's like you
haven't
just
drunk
have to
anything.
like you have to go through this checklist. Have I slept enough?
No.
Have I eaten in the last 5 hours? Like
No.
no. Okay.
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, my brain is mush from this scope over the weekend. So
They have that thing when you submit the report where they ask you like, what OS, they should also have that. Have you slept? Have you eaten? Have you stepped
yes,
away from your keyboard?
exactly. Yep. Yeah, no, there have been times when I'm like working and I'll actually say out loud to myself, step away from the keyboard.
Yes.
Like you gotta get away from this thing. All right, Thomas, what have you got for me today?
Alrighty, so may I share the screen?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Thank you, by the way, for all of your design work on Friday.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Hey, how did the rest of it go with Eli? Oh,
It
sorry.
was-
Sorry.
It was great. It was great.
Sorry, Thomas, go on.
You're good, man. So I'm working through a walkthrough, kind of like what we had spoken about all the way in July,
Okay.
and I mostly followed what you had suggested. Now, the problem I'm dealing with right now is that once a user who isn't signed up fills their information, company information, contact info, setting a profile or a password rather, and then I click finish, I'm having a hard time connecting it to user profile data type, if that makes sense.
Okay. I think so. So you sign the user up, you create a new company, you create a new user profile, which is a thing in your database. Now,
Mhm.
before you go to step 4, you need you need to make changes to the current user.
Oh, so I have to, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on how you're going to reference it, right? Like if you're
Current
trying to do
user,
current
okay.
user's profile or current user's company, then you're going to have to make changes to the current user and add those things there.
Would it be this user?
Uh,
Or would
yes,
it be a
this,
result of,
yeah, I would do user profile would be results of step 3. Yeah.
and then I obviously fill this information out.
Yep.
I'll do this later though. So anytime I'm creating a new user, I also have to, at the same time, make a change to that user's. I have to
Yeah,
make a
so if
reference.
you're, yeah, because go back to step 1 where you sign the user up. So you could change fields here, but the thing is you haven't already created the company or the user profile, right?
Mm.
And I am assuming that you do the signing the user up first because you're referring to them and creating a new company and creating a new user profile.
Does this
Right?
order make sense?
Yep, that order makes perfect sense. You just have to
Okay.
do that last
Just what I
step
do.
to tie things together.
Gotcha. Okay. Sweet.
Okay.
It was that simple then.
Yep.
Cool stuff. Yep, that's it for me. Oh, actually, we should try this. I did something a bit different on the stages when referencing the URL parameters. Instead of having one back and next, like you do,
Mm-hmm.
they're all in their own separate thing and they're just referencing the specific number, if that makes sense. So if I click back, it would be URL, it would go back to URL parameter 1.
Right.
And the information still saves. So that's not a problem.
That's fine. That's actually,
What do you-
that's very similar to the way Canvas does it. I was doing it differently
Really?
than
Okay.
Canvas.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like,
Yeah, it's just,
I'll
and
just try
that
it anyway.
hazard of being able to do things a billion different times. So,
Let's see, let's just do this.
like you can do things in so many different ways. There's no,
Right.
there's nothing keeping you from doing it my way, but there's also probably 10 different ways you could do it or more.
Let's see. Okay, it's saved. Sweet. That is awesome. I just have to give them a name and everything. Cool stuff.
Sounds good.
Cool stuff. I need to figure out. I kind of got really overwhelmed by all the bubbling. I need to figure out how to tie that loading bar through the use of the custom states like you were doing.
Oh,
I don't know if you
the
remember. But
no,
you
I
tied
kind of
that-
remember. I see Benji's head. That's funny. Hi,
Aw.
Benji. He wants whatever you have. That's for sure. Let's go back. So you're talking about the 24-hour copywriting app, is that right?
Yeah, well, you were specifically talking about when we were creating a walkthrough, how you tied the loading bar to the action of the creating of the thing, the user and all that jazz. So that once that process finished, then the custom state would switch either to yes or no, I forget.
Got
and would
it.
turn off. Yeah.
Okay, I'll share my screen and we'll see if we can find it.
It's
I
July
think you're right. I think that was
21st.
Yeah, I was like, it's back in July, so it was probably in July.
I know for a fact it's July 21st. I watched that video so many times. I was like, I need to figure this out like as soon as possible. I'm getting lazy here.
All right, July. I have June sandbox, July sandbox. There we go. I really wish we could search those things, Bubble. In case you're listening. We call it
I think it's
onboarding.
onboarding.
Onboarding with reusables or
I don't
onboarding.
know if yeah, that one.
This one?
Without reusables, yeah. I think everything is hidden because it's not visible in page one.
Yep. That would make sense.
Sorry.
Oh, I remember doing this with you
Right.
and Calum.
I somehow like won and just quickly found this video. I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to go through all the videos to find this. I managed to all of a sudden just land on the right one. I
That's
was very happy
awesome.
about that. I was
That's
very
really
happy
good.
about that.
We're actually working really hard. Kim is working really hard to make everything searchable on YouTube.
I'm
Right.
trying my
Oh,
best.
that'd be
Sweet,
great.
cool stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that'd be
so
awesome.
the idea is that when you're like when you go to one of these things, and I'll play it and then I have muted anyway, but if you show more here, she has
Nice.
timestamps here.
That's good.
So yeah, so
Very
it
cool.
should be like if you say CoCreative NoCode office hours and then you type something that's in here. And she's asking me specifically twice. We just started this today for keywords. When you guys start asking me questions, she's like, "What's the keyword for this?" And like sometimes it takes
Yep.
me a minute to know, but then we nail it. So hopefully that'll start making everything much easier to find.
Will there be a kind of mother index on CoCreative NoCode site where we can search all the Zooms?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Give me a minute. Let's do it. We'll do that in our build along today. How's that?
Sweet. Yeah, sweet.
So,
There you go.
yeah. Okay. So back to your question, which is here.
This, yes.
So
You're
it's
running
this.
Yep.
Okay.
You're
So-
using a custom state, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it might be
So-
in the custom workflow.
Stage 1, go to page. Stage 2, hide, set
Yep.
processing to yes. Stage is
Yep.
value 3. Create an account, create order, display here, and then probably when when group processing's order is not empty. We set the processing of the order to no, and we set the stage to clear out. Then we go to onboarding and set the stage to 4. Okay, does that make sense? Or you need me to walk you through it? Probably, because it's
Sure.
Tanya's logic here doesn't necessarily translate. Okay, so when we trigger stage 2, which is here, so when the next is clicked and get stage from page URL is 2. So on our page, this is stage 1. So when this is showing and we click this next button at the bottom, then what happens is we trigger stage 2. Stage 2 tells us to hide that group. We're going to set the processing, which is a custom state, to yes. We're also going to set the custom state of stage to 3. Now, you might say, wait, what? Why don't you have like a stage 3 or something? These stages here, these references here are to URLs, to URL parameters. This one is specifically for a custom state. And then we create the order. So create an account for someone else, create the order. We display the data, so the result of step 4, which is the order. We do this into the element called group processing. And when we do this, it triggers this one to
That
set
group
this.
that group is a hidden group.
Uh-huh.
It's like a small hidden group.
Yep.
Is that so you could just like reference the data on the page?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so you can send data. So I guess that's a good point. Because with custom states, URL parameters, and like the differences, because there's subtle differences when you're trying to store data in a URL parameter versus a group versus a custom state, right? So one of the things that we've talked about a lot is in Canvas apps, on every Canvas created page, we have a thing called hidden variables. The reason, I guess that's one of the reasons to have hidden variables is because I can display data in a hidden variable as opposed to setting a state. Like you can still set the state, but for some reason that just seems like display this data in group processing, which is a hidden group on the page, and I can display this data. I could have also set a state, I suppose, to do the same thing. And then here, this do when just happens once. When the group processing's order is not empty, it triggers the states.
When it's not empty, okay.
To know, and then clears the custom state stage, right? Because we only want this stage to operate once when it's stage 3, because otherwise we don't need this custom state at all. And then we're setting the stage here, but this stage being set to 4 is a URL parameter instead.
Yeah, gotcha.
I can
Yeah,
see why you
just-
watch this video 10 million times. This is not the most elegant work.
Yeah, it's just like I do better at like going through it and understanding how it works
Yeah.
than like listening to it, because I'm still the terminology, although like I know most of it, it still doesn't connect on the fly.
Yeah, so
Good
I
enough,
mean,
though.
the problem that I was trying to solve here is I wanted to show this stage only while we were processing the order. And as soon as the order is done, I wanted to move to stage 4.
Right. Yep.
Right. So what I was doing was like, this is being shown as work is happening. And then the thing that tells us that work is done happening is when this can take place. Because this can't happen until this happens. Right. So I needed to use the result of step 4 here. So I know that this won't happen until this has already happened. And then running the state change, because if I just set a state here, Bubble will run all of the things it can that's not dependent on previous things. Right? So if I just set the state here, it had the potential to just set the state without this having happened, without the order having happened. And I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to make sure that the order had gone through first.
Did you like think this through yourself, or is this you studying like Canvas?
This is
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, this is experience and
Okay.
intuition around Bubble running all actions it possibly can. And the only ones that it's really forcing the order around is those that say result of step.
There's an well, I don't know if it's easier, but if you just set it to auto binding to when it's done, surely when you press the button, you can show the animation thing, and then just set a when whatever the thing's auto bound to is not empty, as in it's finished uploading, hide it again. That way you don't have to any custom states, do you?
Yeah. I mean, auto binding, but we didn't have the thing to auto bind yet.
Oh, okay.
Because we were creating the account for someone else and creating the order.
Oh, yes, of course we were.
You were creating the account for someone else specifically because you were sending a set password email, right?
Yeah, I was creating an account for someone else because I wasn't trying to have them set the password and do all of that. I was minimizing the friction.
Yeah, I was like, I could figure out that plugin you were telling me about when we got really confused. I was like, or I could just very politely try to ask my user to set their password through one of the steps. Save myself a bunch of time.
You would still need them to accept your term. I mean, in the real world, you'd still need them to accept the terms and conditions before creating an account on their behalf, though, right? So while it made it a really smooth process to sign up, you would still need some kind of consent from them that you are going to store their email
I would
address
put
to the account.
What's their take on that from the UX perspective? Like, what if I didn't want an account created and I had all of a sudden I have an account created? I guess it just depends on the situation.
I mean, you're entering your email, right? So
Right. Yeah.
generally like GDPR and California, whatever their acronym is, and all of the countries that have their own, they're generally centered around sending emails, right? Of course, GDPR has you have to be able to have all of your account information deleted. Right. So you would probably put down here, like on the stage 2, like some sort of thing here with a checkbox saying, I give the app permit. Like I've read and agreed to the terms of service and give, I think GDPR goes like much more in depth about the permissions or whatever.
That's the thing. So the GDPR goes into, and you have to know what they're using the data. That's why I was because I don't know if it's the same in the US, but I think if you did this under the guise of get a quote and you just had a button that I agree to terms and conditions, I think you might get in a bit of trouble for misleading what you're doing, because you are doing it to get a quote, but you are also setting up an account on their behalf without them knowing, unless they read the terms and conditions, which everyone knows nobody does.
Right. Well, I mean, yes. So the terms and conditions probably, like I would also turn that on the page in general. So it's like hanging out there, like, do not proceed unless you agree to my terms and conditions. Don't worry, I don't want your firstborn.
The second will do.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't looked at GDPR or something else?
That I know nothing of that. I know nothing of terms of agreement. Is that something that I would make myself with a lawyer, or is that something I would
Are you doing business
ideally just
in
outsource?
Europe?
It doesn't
No, I'm
matter
not.
technically.
It's just I just want to have like a forethought here, like what to think about when approaching.
No, it
the
should definitely
TOS.
matter. If you're not serving a European market, then you're not subject to GDPR.
Okay. Gotcha. It's just
Can they access your site?
If they can access it
I
from
ju-
Europe, then you don't
I just
specifically
wanna-
block it.
Not that I've heard about much of GDPR, like even though they say that it will enforce it outside of the United or out of the European Union or whatever, but like I haven't seen that actually happen. But
Do you not?
everybody-
There's some US news websites that when you click on the links from Facebook, they say sorry, you can't access this in the EU due to GDPR because they're not compliant with it.
yeah,
That's true, and
you-
you could do that on your
Yeah.
site, Thomas, because that's not your market. Just shut them out entirely.
You need to do that based on IP geolocation.
yeah. it's
by
just
the
something
way,
I
none
know
of
that I
us
should
are
think
lawyers
about.
as far as I know. We are
Exactly.
not giving any sort of advice on what you can and can't do according to the law. We are surmising, we are guessing, we are amateurs.
I did used to sell GDPR readiness reviews like the 2 years before it came in.
Oh no.
So you want to be
That was-
liable for what you say here? No, we're not liable. End of story.
I'm happy to be liable in the US. That's fine. Come get me in the UK.
Okay.
Come get me.
Calum is speaking for Calum only. He is not being a representative of CoCreative NoCode.
Terms and conditions may apply.
says the person whose terms and conditions are like not done. So I need to update those.
They're done. It's just
I need to.
one line. No,
Is that
I can
something
do
you
anything
just,
I
like,
want with the
copy and
data.
paste from online? Did you just like? Do I just go and find some snippet like lorem ipsum? and
There's
just, like...
there's some good sites. There's some really good sites where they'll have a list of service providers. I can't remember which one it is, but there's one where they basically have a long list of service providers. So things like SendGrid and things like that will all be on there already. And you just have to listen to your list them in terms of the data processes and things like that. And there's a few that offer preset terms and conditions. I'll have a look, but there's a few sites out there that do it for you, so you don't have to just go around snipping for other people's.
I like Termageddon.
Yeah, I was told by someone that it'd be a good idea to have that in general set up.
Yeah,
you know,
privacy
like,
policy.
I'm like the least lawyer savvy guy. Honestly, I find it so annoying that most of it, like, you have to read just thousands of pages of documentation for one specific like use case. I don't understand it. I once told the lawyer, I was like, guys, listen, you need to simplify your language. You guys are killing us. You're ruining
Well,
us.
that's why they do it. They do it incredibly complex so that you don't notice. Because I mean, that's what
Right.
Facebook, wasn't it, when they updated their privacy policy, and then like everyone was like, no, we're not doing that, because they realized that they had a perpetual right to anything you put on Facebook throughout the universe for the rest of your life, and that even accounted if you deleted your Facebook account as well, they still could do whatever they wanted with it. And the most famous story was a man went on his Facebook account when apps were really big on Facebook, and he found a picture of his wife advertising a dating site, and she had no idea. It was the third-party terms and conditions. They'd taken one of the photos from Facebook because they were allowed to do it, and just took one of her photos and used it to advertise their app within Facebook, the dating one. And neither of them had any idea how it got there. And then they changed the terms of service, so you can't do it. But that was like 2011 or something.
Don't be creepy, people. The moral
That's
of the story is don't be creepy.
That's the Google line, isn't it? Don't be creepy.
Don't be
Oh,
evil.
Don't be
that's
evil.
right.
Yeah.
Then they go and do the exact opposite.
Don't
Yeah.
be evil, but also don't be creepy.
They should just change their motto to be evil.
Yeah. Be evil, but don't get caught.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
question, if that's all right.
That's funny. My mother, you know how people will say, don't do anything I wouldn't do?
Mm.
But my mom's changed it. She's like, don't do anything I wouldn't do 3 times.
The favorite one I've got is don't do or say anything you wouldn't be happy seeing on the front cover of the New York Times.
Yes.
Then you'd be like reduced to nothing essentially.
Pretty much the most boring life ever. Tonya, can you help me with something if we're done on this, or is
Yep. Did I answer your question, Thomas, or no?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question, but I'll ask after.
Go for it.
No,
We're here.
or Jay,
Go for
actually.
it.
So
go for it?
really quickly, I want to save. I want to do the same thing. I'll just share so you can see what I'm doing.
Okay, I'll stop sharing so you can share.
I want to do the same thing for company. Let's see, company. So I imagine in that make it changes to a thing, that workflow, I would just add a user profile.
Actually, you can do that when you create the company. So go back to that workflow.
I can't remember where that is. Oh yeah.
So when you create the new company, the set another field. Oh, I see. You want to add the user profile to it.
Exactly. I want to just.
Are you
everything
adding the
to be
company
attached.
to the user profile? In the user profile?
I don't know if this is done right.
Oh, no, that's not done right. So that's going to be result of step 2.
Oh.
Okay, and then go back to step 2 and delete that extra field there. And then after step 3, or maybe after step 4, you're going to make changes to the company and add the user profile to it.
So I would do another make changes, but to a company.
Exactly.
Result of step 2? No?
No, so thing to change would be results of step 2. Yep, that would be fine. And then change another field and just user profile would be results of step 3.
Is it just connecting this? The results?
I'm sorry, did you create? Yeah, you make changes to the company. Is all you're doing is updating, is you're adding the user profile because you didn't have the user profile when you created the company.
Right. So this order still makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then just to make sure I fully understood you here, this is right. Should be.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. I'll mess around with that.
Yep.
Let you know what happens. Thank you.
You're welcome. Calum?
I just put something in the chat if we could have a go at that. Because I think, because obviously we had that problem where I wanted to update my news feed when people pull down like you do on Instagram, but obviously the only plugin that existed was the one that refreshed the entire page, which doesn't work for me. However, I'm thinking if I use the drag and drop to pull down, keep it within the group, and then drop it back to where it was, or release it, it gets dropped back, that could be the trigger to refresh, but I just need to work out how to do this to stop it from automatically updating.
Okay, I'm reading. That's why I went quiet. So I think
I looked at the make it static thing, and I think I feel like they've now updated. Bubble has now updated the page to say this does not work on repeating groups.
I'm wondering if this is one of the things that the virtual data types can help with.
Virtual data types.
Yeah, that's what Eli covered on Friday.
Oh. Was that after I left?
Yes. So basically, if you're showing data, I wonder. What is make static supposed to do?
If you click on that, it takes you to the bubble reference page.
Yeah, but this, I mean, this just creates it with the current items, which is what I was going to suggest doing.
So it says note
The
this only
list,
works from-
so the list itself of the things in the list wouldn't change, but if it's sorted or filtered by other things and those things change, it would still update.
Didn't understand a word of that.
Oh, hang on a second. This also says this only changes the behavior of workflows. It doesn't change the behavior of repeating groups on the screen. So. Okay, so explain again what's happening, what you don't want to have happen.
Well, so it looks fine. Tell you what, let me share my screen. I think I should be able to replicate the issue and show you. No, I need to stop doing this. So go back to the news feed, right? We're on Tonya there. Actually, I should check you are following me. Of course you're following me.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Was there
Go to
ever any
newsfeed.
doubt, Calum?
Well, no, given that I control your account. I'm logged into mine, so let's just do a little demo post here, right? So I'm scrolling through, I'm looking through my lovely news feed. I'm like, oh, look, Calum's live on Office Hours with Tonya. And then I also post, this is going great. And then connect and post. See how it moves everything down?
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, especially if you're going to have like a couple of hundred people on there and that happens regularly, you're not going to be able to keep up with where things are. So I need to basically, when the user clicks on worldwide, it sets it to feed. It basically needs to make this list static, and then I need to be able to drag down. I can do the drag down bit. I think I probably work out a way to do that, or I can just put a refresh button. But what I need to stop this doing is automatically updating.
So my best guess at how you would do this is on page load, you would store in a state the current date and time, and then you would do your search for posts based on those created before current date and time in that state.
That is clever. God, that's a really good idea. I don't even have to do it on page load. I can just do it whenever they click on the feed.
Yeah, you could do it then too.
Tonya, you're a genius. Yeah, I mean, you are making my search parameters slightly more complex, but
yeah, that should keep new posts from showing up because they won't be part of that list even dynamically.
yeah, and then so they are still being created, and then all I need to do is, I guess if someone deletes a post, then it will still happen, but that's a lesser worry. And then all I need to do is when the drag down and drag and drop, because obviously you can have it bounce back to the same position.
But isn't that reloading the page?
No. So yeah, no, you're talking about the plugin. I'm talking about the actual drag and drop functionality. So actually, I don't know if I can do it on there. I don't know if it works. I'm gonna bet. I don't know about. Yeah. So look at that. Look how I can do that on the event.
Mm-hmm.
So to hide this, the drop area is down there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go like that, it disappears.
It looks so good, Calum. Oh my gosh.
I'm actually gonna have to get rid of it unfortunately, because there's going to be a feed for each event. And obviously, as we established, you can't scroll through a feed and have a drag and drop. So the only thing I'm actually able to use it for is on people's profiles with the verified or reporting people's profiles. That's the only stuff I can actually use it for, unfortunately. I've already had to get rid of it on the profile pages.
I'm sorry.
I know, it's sad.
Did you contact is it something that you think could be fixed if the plugin developer would?
It's not it's Bubble. Bubble.
Oh, it's Bubble?
make the
Okay.
Bubble are the jQuery drag and drop people. So, and
Okay.
when I spoke to them, I was kind of like, look, I don't know if it's something you can fix, because technically it's working exactly the way it should be. It's when you move your finger down, it's dragging it. The only thing that confused me a little bit was where you've got this here, which is a multi-line input, but just disabled. That scrolls absolutely fine, and it has no impact on the page. It's just when it's a repeating group that it has an impact, and that you can't scroll. So yeah, a bit annoying, but
Okay.
nothing too bad. But oh yes, that was it. So what I'm thinking is, I don't know if this will work. I think if I put if this, say for example, this is the feed and it's not an event, and I just won't be able. Well, I'm trying to work out if I can do it, because now I've just realized I've said the exact same problem, which is if I have it as a draggable group, will I be able to scroll the repeating group, which is the feed? Shucks. I guess I could just have the bar at the top, which is the only thing that's draggable. Anyway, my point being, I should be able to pull this down, and instead of having a group down there to drop it in, I should have a group here that's droppable. So every time you pull this down, it does pop back, but it will update the to current time and date, so it will show any more recent.
Got it. Yeah.
I will try it, and I will get back to you.
Awesome.
I've got something.
Sure.
Okay, so can you guys see?
Yep.
This is a little game for finding companion plants that you put together and they grow better. Oh, why didn't it work? It works, I swear.
I believe you.
I think that I didn't reload. Here we go. So it's got these combinations. As you can see, there's a lot of possibilities. So I've got two things. One is, right now, this is a repeating group that displays random items, or maybe it's full list. I don't remember. But either way, I wanted to show like up to as many, like what is this, 25 or whatever. But that 25 should be random, except for it should always include at least 3 companion plants. So that's
I
one
see.
thing. And then the
Okay.
other thing is, I'm thinking about right now, here's how it works: do when, and when the custom state that's created by dropping things on the drop area contains these 3 things, then you get the success message you want. The thing is that there's going to be a lot of possible combinations, a lot. So I was thinking that this might be better as an option set that includes all 3 things for each option, or maybe as a database thing, because having to
Database
manage
thing.
all these conditions is going to be awful.
Database thing.
A database thing. So what would have to go in there? Like, would each be a list, or just be lists of 3?
Yeah. So you would have a main plant, and then reference, and then you would have companion plants as a list. And then I'm still going back to your first question about having the random list, but making sure that there are at least 3 of a companion set in there. Hmm. Well, you're sorting. Is it a fixed list of the? So it's vegetable categories is in option set?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Like,
right
I
now it's
almost want to
showing
say
more.
that your repeating group should just be like a repeating group of vegetables. And then for each vegetable, you would have a list of at least 3 companion plants. And then you could search for so you could randomize the list, and then I don't know how you force it to make sure that there's a complete set in each time that you refresh it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, unless you're referring to hang on, this is tricky. So if I do a repeating group of vegetables, and then so is it gonna suggest the vegetable? Like you had in bingo?
Yeah, there's going to be like, it'll show like a tomato and you have to add 2 companions, I think. And then there'll also be a converse where you have to find its natural enemies. But I'm not going to worry about that until I get the first part working adequately. Right now, I mean, it's working okay. I could live with it. There's enough icons in there that it's really unlikely that you could possibly get a display that did not give you enough options, enough companion plants.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of commonalities, you know.
Mhm.
However, you know, I mean, as always, you want it to work better and be more interesting. And I also want it to be, you know, educational. Well, I want people to have fun, but it should be, you know, something you learn from too. Because it's really just a time, you know, it's not super important. But if I have that data type that I just made as per your suggestion, companion plants, then if I populate that with enough, and then this is the repeating group, just to search for them, it's going to have tons. And then I can just randomize that. And that wouldn't that naturally give me only sets?
Mm-hmm. It would. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And then the do when doesn't have to be a million of these. It can be something more like, oops. what is that page called?
Hmm.
Nope.
Companion plants.
Yeah. You mean like not do a search for, but do something else?
Mm. No, I'm thinking about contains list, but you don't want the whole list. You just want a partial list.
Yeah, because there's more than 2 companions for some plants, so they just need to match 2.
Okay.
And the alternative is I could put them in the database as just 2 at a time. So there'd be sets, but then you
No,
lose
that's
out
weird.
on, yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think on this one.
Okay.
That's a lot of. That's a lot to process.
Yeah.
Your app is a lot to process, Jay.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think I feel kind of proud.
I think, yeah, no, I mean, you like the things that you managed to achieve, like to get working, like it just blows my mind. Like the number of things that you've been able to put into your app out of sheer just like having this, like you're so creative and you have these ideas and you're like, I'm just gonna go make this happen. It's just like, what? It's amazing.
Well, there's got to always be a way, I mean, there's always a way, but I'm worried about stability, although I think so far it's fine, but I worry about it. There's some custom state things that are weird. I know they are, and I have a list. I'm just not going to worry about them too much because they're not critical. They're just, if it glitches a little bit, well, the beta testers will complain, and that's good.
If they're complaining, it means they're using it.
Well, my plan is to, as soon as I've got the data, I'm going to go and hire several people to just go through, do micro tasks and
Okay.
just go through my list. Here's like 40 activities to execute. And I'm going to ask them to do it on Loom or some kind of video capture and to narrate their experience, just like you get when you pay for usertesting.com. Except instead of spending 150 or whatever a month, I'm going to pay like 3 people, like, $40 each or $25 each. And it'll be good. And then I'm going to take what they say. I'm going to watch those and see where I see them hesitate, see what I can fix. And at the same time, I'm planning to start sharing it with friends and friends of friends, because those people aren't going to give me great feedback. They're just hopefully going to use it, and hopefully tell their friends and maybe get back to me with a little this and that. Maybe I can get a testimonial or 2, but the paid people, they're not going to care about my feelings, which is good. And they're going to say, this, I don't like this. This is uncomfortable, whatever, because I don't think I can get that from a random.
Jay, Jay, we'll help you out. We don't care about your feelings. It's all good.
But you're not a gardener. If you were a nasty gardener.
The part about me not being a gardener is true. The part about me not caring about your feelings is not true.
Oh. I feel
Again,
like
Calum speaks for himself.
Well, I have friends who volunteered to help me test it, which is very nice of them. But the ones who did, they're not my gardening friends. They don't garden.
No.
And I just think that they're not going to be using it the way an actual person who gardens would use it.
Yeah, no, it's very smart to ask people who like don't know you and aren't incentivized, but even people who don't know you are going to want to please you. Like keep that in mind that people are even paid people are going to want to tell you what you want to hear because they want you to hire them again.
Well, then maybe the the brief that I give them, in addition to having the tasks, will also have list 5 things that that need improvement or were not satisfactory. And then they've got to fill that out.
Yep.
You could also you could also maximize like the amount of testing by reducing how much you pay. Like I did the same thing when I was working on another project. I was paying people like $45 to test. And I just kept reducing all the way to 15. And people seem to be okay with it.
Well, there's a Reddit called Slave Labor for microtasks, and people will do amazing things for $5.
Well, you
That's
can
what I'm
also
saying. It's just
do
like-
Mechanical Turk from Amazon, right?
Oh yeah, I haven't.
Is that more for volume?
I mean, you can use it for volume, but I don't think they have. I don't know. I've never used it. I just know of it. So
Yeah.
I looked into it a while back, and it for some reason I just didn't feel like, not for Garden Brain. At the time, I just didn't feel that great about it.
got it.
I think though that, well, what you said, Thomas, is right. I'm sure I don't have to pay 45 or 50. I'm sure I can get by with
just
less.
as a heads up, because I threw a lot of money. Not saying that it was a waste, but
I'm just going to make it 25. But the problem is they
Yeah.
need to be that in my first round of beta, they need to be US based. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's one thing you can you can pay
Gotcha.
$5 for someone who lives in a place with a super low cost of living. It's good for them,
Yeah.
but a US person might not want to spend the 90 minutes for $5. I got to give them at least,
I bet you if you went to a garden, you're like, hey, listen, I have this product and the intention is to help you optimize your gardening. I'll pay you $15 to go through this application for me. What do you think? I mean,
I'm
you're
just
working
gonna-
with gardeners.
I mean, I don't know where I'm going to find those people. And honestly,
Yeah.
I think posting it on the microtask sites, there's a few of them besides the one I mentioned. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I won't have any trouble finding people. If I do, I'll up my price by $5 a time.
There you go.
But I think having that, I really want to see the looms, whatever they use. I think like when I watched my VA test it a few weeks ago, just watching where her cursor hesitated was extremely enlightening, even if she didn't say anything.
That's what I was going to recommend. So you're right. People always, that they'll either have their own opinion of, something, and getting objective feedback is difficult. But there's this, and if you wanted to put some money into it to get definite results, there's this software you can use or services you can use where they will give people, like 20 people, your app, and they sit them in front of a computer and they have like really high-speed cameras around them, and they do the heat maps and things like that. And a company in the UK that I used to work with called Lab Lateral did it, and it's amazing what they did. So they will track your eye movement to where your eye first goes from the page. They'll do the heat map, see where you hover over, where you actually click, so where the best places to put things are. And and obviously, if it's difficult to navigate, people generally hang around for longer. And there's some great stuff out there, and that's like that will get you the results of knowing how easy it was to use, what areas people liked and went to first, because they go in with no direction at all.
It sounds super expensive. That's not usertesting.com, is it?
I don't know. There's services out there, but I know it might be like $1,000 or something like that. But you probably get better. But the point is, you probably get better data from something like that than a load of people, asking a load of your friends and paying them $10 per person to do it, right?
I just know that like if your
intention
is to work with if your intention is to work with gardeners, why hire a mechanical Turk who's never gardened?
Well, I plan to specify in the ad that you need to have some interest in gardening or gardening experience. I don't care if they're experienced. They don't have to be good at gardening. They just have to care about it a little bit, and have done it once or twice. They don't have to be master gardeners or anything. I don't even really want master gardeners. They're not really my market. They don't need this except for the social element and for expanding their own influence.
I just snipped a little pothos plant vine.
Yeah.
from one of the houses nearby. I felt like I was like doing like naughty things, and I put it into water so that the roots could grow. and the damn thing looks so sad and so like withered. I wanna somehow save it.
How long has it been
I
in
don't know how to
water?
save it. It's
How
been
long
in
is
water
it?
for like less than 15 hours, I think.
Give it some time to see if it adjusts.
It's just I got all these ants coming out of nowhere, just riding
Oh
on it.
God.
Yeah,
Ah.
it's horrible. It's such a pretty. It's like light green. I know this is off topic, but it would be nice to know. It would be nice to know how to work with it. I don't really know.
There's a ton of information about that online. They're a super popular plant.
Yeah, that's true.
No, there's a ton of information about that on Garden Brain.
They're actually, I
that's
mean,
what it
except
is.
for the message boards, which I hope will be lively. There isn't, because that stuff is so easily available. Like I didn't put any original content in.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because they can find that. I thought about it because the SEO, would be helpful.
But you could ask people on Garden Brain about it.
Right.
Yes.
That community though.
So have you guys ever worked with launching a community, like a message board type community? Does anyone have any insight into that?
Tonya, this is pretty much like what you've done.
Oh, you mean with CoCreative NoCode?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you built.
I mean, I've done it in the Facebook group, right?
I'm
So-
thinking more about like, message boards where if it isn't lively, it's super obvious, when you look at a traditional message board and there's no posts or there's, old posts,
Yep.
it's
Well,
super discouraging.
CoCreative NoCode's Facebook group. The way I get around that is I hold office hours every day.
Right. I guess
And
like
I
one
post
like
it
valuable piece.
live.
Yeah, one valuable piece of information. Like I guess the valuable thing about Bubbles Forum is the fact that you can go there when you have trouble. So like give people the reason to go to the forum, right? It's not so easy to do.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't focus on the forum and I just focus on
Yeah.
the
I guess
the Facebook group.
the best way for you to do that, Jay, would be, I guess, if you know the answer to the question yourself, go, like I'm assuming there's like Reddits and stuff like that for people who are struggling with gardening or whatever. Or go to where these forums are, find a question that hasn't been answered, create a post in Garden Brain yourself with the answer, and then post the link to the response in Garden Brain on the Reddit or whatever. So that way, this has been answered on Garden Brain, go check it out over there. And then people will go to your one, find the answer they need, and they'll associate going to your page with finding the answer they need.
It's also like a very cool place to develop a community too. Like if you can go through Reddit threads, garden communities, and you're like, hey, listen, I have this little product here and I want to get some feedback. I'll give so-and-so users 10, 15 bucks. You'll probably get a bite, even just directly DMing people. I've done that before. Through Facebook.
I thought about
People are pretty
directly
open.
DMing people,
Yeah,
hoping that they'll
people are
start.
pretty open to it.
I guess depends on the moderators of the, you know what I mean? Like you're asking people to come away from the site that they've put their blood and sweat into. So they have a lot of rules about that, but they're not insurmountable. I made an account on Reddit with the username Garden Brain. And I've been, whenever I see a question I can answer, I answer it. Unfortunately, I keep such odd hours. But at like 5 a.m. or 4 a.m., I am the first one to answer the question. Mostly just to build some karma and credibility so that when I do have a chance to advertise it, subtly, not advertise it, but mention it on Reddit, that I've got a little credibility. I also plan to, depending on what they cost, and you can't see it until you sign up, and I haven't done it yet, is advertise on Reddit, because they've got probably the most active gardening communities that exist these days. But they're not the best communities. Like there used to be a couple, one huge one called Garden Web. They got bought and now it's dead. It got bought by House and now it's dead. But it used to be massive and active, and it had a lot of highly specialized sub threads. And they were interesting. But when you go on Reddit, the questions are, what is this fungus or spot? What's wrong with my plant? Or what is this plant? And occasionally look at my garden, and there's just not a lot of like conversation or, questions about like companion plants or something a little more interesting than identify the plant or identify a disease. It makes me nervous that such an active message board like Reddit/r/gardening doesn't have better diversity of content, because it makes me wonder, is there really a need for it? But the fact that Garden Brain was huge and did exist makes me think the people who have those kinds of questions and content, they're just not the people who are on Reddit.
Yeah, it's gonna find where they are. It'd be really cool, yeah, like you said, work with companion plants. I
can't hear you, Thomas.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying working with companion plants would be really cool. As someone like myself who I like the design of things, so I have this little studio apartment. It'd be nice to see what plants go with which. I honestly have like 3 different types of pothos here, and I'm like, you know what, just stick to vines. They're easy to take care of. You add a little water and they'll last a whole month. It's ridiculous.
Well, it will be exciting to launch. I can't wait.
I
Super
can't wait
nervous
either.
about it.
I'm super excited for you.
Yeah.
You're nervous because
That it'll break. It'll just be a dud. That it's not as interesting as or useful as I hope it is. That for many reasons. Why is anyone ever nervous about launching?
got it.
And of course, there's no user testing or interest. I just decided this was something that the world needed and went and built it with, without following any of the practical advice. I'm okay with that, because it may be, fine and have some users, and next year have a few more, and it may be 3 years or even 4 years before it gets traction. But I feel like if it's out there long enough, anything on the internet, you leave it out there long enough, it starts to gather speed. I used to run this is way back. This is 20 years ago, back when, more than 20 years ago, back when the graphical browser was first introduced. So HTML was like, people didn't know it. It was like new and exotic. So I built a website. It was just essays. It was essays. I was working with my ex on renovating an old wooden boat. And so, he'd be down in the engine wrenching, and I would be up in the cabin, composing little elegies, how awesome it is to renovate a boat. Drinking vodka and thinking how pleasant it was. So I kept it going for, I don't know, a good few years. And I didn't even really think about who was reading it or pay attention. I wasn't selling ads. There was no monetization. It was just for fun. And then it ended up getting nominated for Best Personal Website at SXSW. That was one of the early ones. And then my ex was...
Whoa, hang on. South by Southwest?
Yeah.
What? One of the early different, you mean the one that Twitter won? That's mental. You got nominated at South by Southwest.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't really...
You kept that one quiet.
Because it didn't really turn into anything. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't the winner. I was like, just nominated.
Nominated. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right. But then what I thought was kind of more awesome was my ex worked in various places that end in ISTAN. And he was in Kyrgyzstan, and he walked into this remote radio transmission station to do his job. And there was a guy there who had his computer up, and what he had for his home screen was my website.
Oh, wow.
And to me, that was like super amazing. And I liked it more than the SXSW nomination.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah. So I feel like if you put something out there and you keep it alive and you keep it, then people are going to find you. It doesn't always have to be a viral thing. It's just a thing that, spreads. It's not quite as exciting as having something go viral, but it's still exciting and it's still progress. I'm hoping that at least that happens.
Yeah, I love that. So Stu getting nominated at one of the big tech conferences. I want a guy in Kyrgyzstan to have my site up on his page. I can't believe you never mentioned you got nominated by South by Southwest. That's insane.
It was just a thing, it didn't, like I said, I didn't win it, and it didn't turn into anything different. And I just think that I wasn't great at taking advantage of that opportunity.
Well, I mean,
What year was this? When was this?
I don't know, maybe 99, maybe 98.
Okay, so
It's an early one.
just before, so just pre-tech bubble bursting then.
What's that?
Just before the tech bubble burst then, what, 99?
I don't really remember, like I said, exactly what year, but also it was before, e-commerce was still something people were talking about. You know what I mean? Like the web wasn't as financially important as it is now. You know what I mean? Now, if you achieve something like that, well, it's not just flattering, it's money, because everyone knows how much money there is to be made with a good design or a good idea. But back then it was more like people were still kind of understanding what to do with graphical internet. It didn't have the implications it would have today.
I have a coworker who wrote to Jeff Bezos back when he was still running his Amazon from his garage. Like it was like in 1996. And she bought a book from him, and she wrote him an email and said, "This is amazing. You're going to be a millionaire," or something like that.
A millionaire.
And he wrote back and he was like, "Really, you think?"
Aw.
like like she was pleased with his answer.
Yeah.
It was like, it was a gracious answer. It wasn't like sarcastic or anything. It was like, do you really think so, kind of thing.
Well, does anyone know what happened to the guy?
I don't know. I heard he might have been launched into space recently.
Can you imagine how crazy that is? I mean, did he think that when he started in his garage, having people?
Yes, he did.
Oh, I think so.
Did.
I think he's a visionary.
He did. He gave up a job on.
200 billion.
Well, he gave up a job on 350 grand a year at a quantitative hedge fund that he was working at. So he knew something was there. Like it wasn't just I'm going to start this and see what happens. He must have known there was something.
He just saw those statistics that showed that the growth of the internet on a month-by-month basis. And you know what? He's like, let me do something about this.
Yeah, and there's that story. It's like, oh no, wait, just start with one product, because that's what Jeff did, and and then other things will come. That's like Jeff chose the product that was the easiest to store. They came in roughly the same size boxes, and they were easy to ship. He always had the idea of expanding for a store that sold everything. It wasn't like he just ran a bookstore and then it expanded, which is the story that some people like.
This is a unique approach, though. Like there was a point where he emailed his 1,000 users, and he's like, "Listen, guys, the books are doing well. What else do you want to see?"
Yeah.
And then they just came in with feedback, and very, very interesting to read a story about feedback-driven businesses. Amazon.
I want to buy everything from you, please.
Did you read the Everything Store?
Is that what it's called? The book you're talking about?
The Everything Store, yeah.
I've read all of his news shareholder letters. There is a lot of gold in there.
Oh, do you like even the first ones, like the very first ones?
Yeah, there's a lot of gold in there. Just in general, like business, like things to have in mind. I mean, I'm no success here, but like there are some very unique points that he makes that are almost philosophical.
I know this isn't bubble related, but I'm enjoying our tangent.
I was thinking that it might be, I don't know if anyone else would be interested, but I was thinking that it might be a good fit for CoCreative NoCode to run like a not for live use, but just a Zoom for business topics, for app launch. And I feel like if it's streamed, then we're not going to be as open.
Got it.
Yeah, and I also feel like a lot of people could really benefit from discussing the kind of, anything from practical or tactical things, like how to, like me, which web scraper am I going to use? I don't mean the name of it, but I mean which approach, to things like how do I reach new users, or how do I expand my product? Business questions.
There's a lot of cool stuff I think you could still do with no code. Like I haven't seen. One thing I would love to participate in is a no code hackathon. Like I feel like that would just be wild.
So I have something coming up actually, and it's not a hackathon, but it's It's Startup Weekend,
Nice.
and it's have you heard of Startup Weekend before?
No.
I did one.
Have you heard
here.
of? Yeah, so we're gonna do a national startup weekend, like sanctioned by Techstars, which like we got the license to do it. So it's gonna be like October 3rd, the weekend of October 3rd. It's gonna be national, and it's gonna be all online, obviously, and it's gonna be no code is the
Nice.
theme. And so I'm on the Startup Tucson, I think is the local chapter or whatever that's putting it on. So I'm on the committee helping to think through like how to run it and all of that fun stuff. So I was thinking of maybe, I think Calum, you booked your vacation during that time.
Oh, did I?
Even
I
after
changed
I
my-
asked, you
I changed my
what?
vacation time. So my vacation is now 30th of September to the 7th of October.
Yeah, I know, because I had already booked you for like the 1st through the 3rd or whatever this weekend is. So I was like, that's okay.
Oh, this
So, but I
weekend.
was, the
What?
startup weekend that I'm talking about is like the first weekend in October.
Ugh.
So,
I
it's
can do
okay.
it by the pool. I can do it by the pool.
No, you can't. You're supposed to enjoy your vacation, not work the whole time.
So one life is what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Okay, but is it what your girlfriend enjoys you doing? She's gonna be there too. It's her vacation too.
Right, there'll be a sunbed, there's a pool, and she can have as many pina coladas as she wants. She won't care what I'm doing.
Okay. All right, if you're sure. So yeah, so I was thinking that it would be fun to have a group of us do it together, because it does include some hacking, like hackathon stuff. Is the first night you organize around groups of people and ideas, and then you set off, and the next day you're validating the ideas, and then you're building something to test with people for Sunday, and then you present it. So
That sounds like amazing fun. And the ideas, do you generate them in your group, or they give you a list of things and you choose, or what?
so when you sign up, you can start putting in your ideas into like this collective, I don't know, like collection pot of ideas, and then people will be voting on them, right? And so the ideas that get the most votes like win out, and then people organize around those ideas. So
And what happens if an idea and the MVP that you deliver is awesome and there's actually potential there? What happens to the ownership of it and the participation?
Yeah, who keeps that?
yeah, that's a good question. So the team, I guess, you have to work that out. So I can ask that question in my meeting. We have a meeting today in like 3 hours. I can ask and be like,
How
so
did-
what happens?
How did you get involved with your local startup chapter?
Oh, way back when I started my first startup, and I didn't know the difference between a startup and a business. And I ended up with a business and was really frustrated because I kept asking people for business help and they kept giving me business help. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted startup help.
Is the difference one makes money and the other one doesn't?
No, so the
What is
big
the
difference. Yeah, so it's a good question. So with a business, you know that there's a market for it already. You're not having to create, clone, or otherwise evolve a market for it. So like startups are, you're starting with an idea, a concept, a product that there is no existing market to just go and compete on. You have to go in and somehow create the demand for your product. And
So very few companies can actually be called startup. I mean, it's a really widely used word, but if if you're a startup, Amazon retailer, you're not really a startup then, you're just a small business.
right.
Unless you're selling something that doesn't exist or has no market.
Exactly. And I'm loosely borrowing like my terms or whatever from Steve Blank. Has a course on Udacity, not Udemy, but Udacity, and his book and everything. And like he was the way he explains it is, if you already know that there's a market and you're just competing for a percentage of that market, and you're not doing anything new or different that you have to somehow create market message fit and product market fit, then that's a business. And so I didn't know the difference. So I started in 2013. In 2015, I discovered Startup Tucson and applied to be in their incubator program and learned a ton of stuff, and then started working with Startup Weekend after that. So on and off since 2015. That's how, Jay.
Interesting. And have you found it to be overall a useful, rewarding relationship?
Incredibly, yeah. Like, I mean, I think I did some like pretty important work for myself in terms of learning about startups and business in that incubator. A lot of it was their curriculum. The best part of their curriculum, in my opinion, was the stuff around customer interviews and surveys, market research, but specifically like individual customer market research. But yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was really good. Yeah. Met some cool people. And in fact, I came to Bubble because I was part of that group in 2015, because fast forward to fast forward 5 years later, and one of my cohort colleagues is the one who posted about Bubble on Facebook, and I saw it and I was like, let me check out this Bubble thing.
So if it weren't for that, we wouldn't know you.
If it weren't for that, we might know each other, but I don't have it readily available in my head how. So yeah.
Sure, I'd have bumped into you in America somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. We would have seen each other somewhere. No, but yeah, it changed my life in that way. I'm certainly grateful for that. If I had gotten nothing else out of it, that would have been enough, plenty. So, yeah, so if anybody's interested in doing that, the first weekend of October, I mean, it's going to be some late nights, so.
That sounds like a ton of fun. I would be interested.
That sounds great.
Oh, hang on. Late nights US time.
Yeah.
That night we finished at 4 a.m. It was only like 10 o'clock in the evening for you guys, wasn't it?
Yes.
So that's like that's like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning for me, right?
Yeah, it's like it's gonna be some crazy times. Like we're gonna have to stay awake and work, and
I'll bring coffee.
And Malta is plus 1 hour as well, so it's even further.
Even further.
I may have to give it a miss, unfortunately.
Okay, well, please enjoy your vacation.
I will try.
But I'll sponsor you guys if you want to come. So.
And that's how it works. You need a sponsor.
So yeah, no, I mean, the cost of it's like, I think somewhere between $50 and $100 for the weekend or whatever per person. But I was thinking CoCreative NoCode could sponsor a team. Yep. And then we can show up and
we get matching hoodies.
You know, that's a really good, I need to get on that actually.
What about the merch?
What was that, Thomas? I think Thomas had something to say, but are you still
The problem with hoodies is that, like, now that no one ever leaves the house, I really don't need clothes to go show off my affiliations. You know, you need something.
And that's why Jay hasn't been on camera for a while.
I need to redo my office. It's because I have this like NASA setup, like my chair. I've got one of those split keyboards, and there's a keyboard on each arm of the chair. And I have like my feet up on the desk. So when I'm on my computer, I pretty much look like a lunatic. And I don't need you guys seeing that, or anyone.
Okay. I'm just imagining you sat there like Picard with your.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see this. Maybe we'll go off
really
the
want to see
live someday and you'll show me this, like this setup you have. It sounds really comfortable.
It is super comfortable. I see that there's a book called Startup Weekend.
Yeah, so
And,
weekend is a big deal. They hold them. Techstars hold startup weekends like all over the world. And so the idea is you come in on a Friday night and you group around these ideas with other people. And by the end of the weekend, you have the beginning of having validated the idea and creating a pitch and getting people involved. And then they have some follow-up curriculum around it as well to help you, like you said, like you were asking Jay, like what happens after? And yeah, they have follow-up around that, like helping you take it to the next level if you decide to pursue it.
interesting. Well, I definitely am interested in that. It sounds like a ton of fun. And I think if nothing else, it'll be a good reminder to me of why I work for myself. Because working in teams can be extremely frustrating.
Well, like for me, it's like I love our bubbling. I love our prototyping that we do. So this is an opportunity to go in with someone who has an idea, like matching people who don't know Bubble or no code and who have ideas with people who have the skills to then very rapidly make something work. Like it sounds like fun to me.
Where do we
I agree.
sign up for this? Or are you gonna just let us know?
Yeah, I'll let you know when the link is ready, and we'll get you signed up and paid for and all that fun stuff. So, but I have my Monday meeting with them every Monday. So, yep. Cool. Sounds like we've got 3 on our team.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
So if anybody is watching and would like to join Team CoCreative NoCode for Startup Weekend coming up here
Team
in
Coco.
the first is that what we are? Team Co-Creative Coco. Got it. Okay. Team Coco. Yeah, if anybody's interested, just give us a shout. We're open. I don't know how many I was thinking of sponsoring, but a handful.
We can't use Team Coco.
Wait, say that one more time, Kim.
We cannot use Team Coco.
Why not?
Why?
That's Conan O'Brien.
Oh, okay, got it. So
okay.
it's
Sorry,
taken.
guys.
We're yeah. Team Konoko.
Hey, that
Konoko.
sounds good. Yeah.
That's like Conoco, like there's a
Conoco,
business.
exactly.
Maybe we'll just have to be CC.
Team Tonya.
Yes.
Yeah,
Team Tonya.
Yeah.
Team WWTD.
Yes, what would Tonya do?
I always put what would Eli do as a hashtag when I was tweeting about our meeting last week, our office hours last week. But I was like, nobody's gonna get that except my people. And it was too long. Twitter wouldn't let me. So all right. Well, does anybody have anything else for today?
No,
No.
my drag and drop thing didn't work.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's just it's so annoying because all of the plugins in the marketplace are pull down to refresh the page. Why can't you just do pull down and leave it at that? And pull down and then once released something happens. Why do they have to make it so that it refreshes the page?
Like a pull down with a workflow attached to it.
Yeah, so when plugin B is pulled down and released, then whatever.
That sounds like a really good plugin.
Yeah, and there isn't one out there. Like,
Yeah,
the only
but
ones out there refresh
We
the
should
entire
make
page.
it, is what I'm saying.
How much JavaScript do you need to know to
I was going to
do
say,
something
define
like that?
we.
Yeah.
By we, I mean we, as in the people on this call. We, all of
Pretend
us
French.
should do it.
So how
Yeah,
much
I mean,
Java,
yes.
how much JavaScript do you really need to know to create a simple plugin?
So let me share my screen.
Tonya
So,
can be the coder. I'll be
The
the
answer is
motivational
we need to
speaker.
know some, right? But in this case, it sounds really like simple. Is Bubbles the only drag and drop one that exists? I think Eli was saying no, it's not.
There may be another drag and drop. What it's the one that I'm using, drag and drop. The problem isn't with the drag and drop. The drag and drop works fine. It's the no, so yeah.
I like this one. This one makes me happy.
What does that one do?
Yeah, I'm going to be trying that later this week.
This one
Oh,
is
the
where you can drag to scroll. So
Oh, on desktop. Because you can already do that on mobile, right?
mhm.
But does that
It
hide? I
makes
don't
it
know.
better.
Does it hide the horizontal bar? Or do you still have to go ahead and do that little piece of HTML?
I'm not sure, but I
Either
know
way,
that
if
I
you
have a
hide the-
client who was not happy with the horizontal.
Yeah.
And this makes it easier. Drag table.
The great.j. What the hell are you doing there, Benji? I've just literally just turned around and he's, I don't know if you can see that. He's just coming, he's in one of the boxes. He's just poking his head out. I have no idea
He's
how he managed to
acting
get
like
up
a
there.
cat.
Yeah, but I don't know how he got up there. Yeah, so the draggable elements one is the bubble one.
So you want it when it snaps back, that's when the workflow is run?
Oh, so that's not the problem. It's doing it on a repeating group because obviously I need to pull down the repeating group, or even whatever it is. Even if you do it on a group that isn't the repeating group specifically, if the group contains a repeating group, you then can't scroll the repeating group on mobile. Because I think in terms of the, I don't know whether it's the hierarchy or whatever, in terms of however it works is, oh, because yeah, so the element, if the element containing it is a draggable element, it stops the repeating group from working in terms of scrolling.
In terms of scrolling, okay.
And it's like all the draggable stuff, and it looks like it's a
Can you
jQuery
make it
UI.
draggable, but only if it's in the first cell? Index is 1?
So you'd be drag. If only if the first cell is pressed.
So like the draggable,
Like that wouldn't drag the whole feed. That would just drag the top.
yeah, just the
element
top
down.
cell.
I don't see how that would work. I mean, you can give it. It's quite difficult for you to test, though, isn't it? 'Cause you're not on a mobile.
Well, we can build that out tomorrow
Yeah.
or Wednesday. We can try it.
Because I also tried doing the whole. Well, I was going to do the, well, you can only do it when cells index is 1, because that way it would only work if you were at the top. But that it seems like no matter where it is, or even if it can't move, if it is on the page, it stops the repeating group from scrolling. It's just the weirdest thing because it doesn't happen at all when you're scrolling other elements. It's just the repeating group.
Okay. Well, let's try it on Wednesday and see if we can make some
Awesome.
progress.
Yeah.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
All right, guys. Thank you so
All right.
much for being here, Jay and Calum and Thomas and Kim. Always appreciate you here. We'll be back here tomorrow, Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you'd like to join us for a complimentary session, please go ahead and comment on the live and Kim will send you a link or send us an email to team@CoCreativeNoCode.com. Thank you, everybody. See you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.
Bye, guys.